No news, sir. Goblins will slice us to ribbons if we approach the bridge.
Unacceptable. I want those goblins out of my mind by yesterday. Send another man. As many as it takes.
We haven't enough men among us to take on even a few of them, sir.
Are you deaf? I said I want those goblins out! Make it happen, even if you have to spear Drexis yourself. A source hunter! My liege, I am at your disposal. I am Lawrence, the representative of the mining guild responsible for operations in Silver Glen. Please, valiant hunter, let us know how we can assist you. Oh, I am no one special. Merely a humble servant of the guild and shepherd to the happy flock of miners within this settlement. My only cause for complaint, Your Grace, are these awful goblins. They're starving us out, refusing even a single honest miner his right to work. Perhaps, my most upright highness, you might be able to help us with this little problem. You must forgive me if I become somewhat overcome when discussing it, my liege. To think how I've been betrayed. To think how the humble miners of Silver Glen suffer. I invited a tribe of goblins to assist us in clearing the tenebrium from our mine, you see. The leader of the troop, a satin-spitting Satan named Drexis, promised to clear the tenebrium and be gone. When the job was done, though, he and his band of totem-brained fiends refused to vacate. They've kept close guard of the bridges to the mine since, and they'll slice whoever dares approach them into ribbons. These goblins follow Drexis like lemmings, Your Grace, and if only I could undo the traitor, they'd slither back to the swamp they crawled from. Drexis's head on my mantle would save countless miners from a slow starvation, my liege. What's one goblin over countless disenfranchised workers? Preposterous! What does that foreigner know about the affairs of Silver Glen? You do best to do as I do, my liege, and turn a deaf ear to her insane accusations. Please, Your Grace, I am completely at your disposal. Those brutes! I invited them here to save our valued miners from the ill effects of clearing tenebrium, and those interlopers met my invitation with a hostile takeover. They haven't allowed a single human miner past them in months, and meanwhile my men have all but forgotten their vocation and turned instead to their damned religion. Useless stuff, my liege, worse than common dirt, but 10 times as difficult to extract and infinitely more dangerous. If only we'd known in advance the terrible effect rot would have, we would have stopped trying to clear it immediately. Yes, a dreadful business, that. I've been fortunate enough to avoid the sickness so far, my liege, but my heart truly breaks for the families of those who've been afflicted. You see, my liege, when a miner has been overlong exposed to tenebrium, he begins showing certain symptoms. Gangrene about the extremities, fatigue, malaise. At first, we attributed these symptoms to, well, to poor diet, laziness, and general malingering. Had we known then what we've since discovered, we never would have continued operations. But alas, mistakes were made, and those we lost can never be brought back, no matter what that crackpot conduit would have one believe. My liege, You ought not to concern yourself with the fraudulent leader of a crackpot cult. Really, the whole affair is an utter embarrassment to Silver Glen. Some insane huckster calling herself the conduit of the goddess made her way to Silver Glen at the height of the rot hold on our miners. The people were desperate, you see. When by magic or illusion she managed to cure a handful of them of the affliction, every last one of the bunch began speaking of her as though she were some messiah. Now most of the town is taken with her little cult of immaculates, as she calls them. Fortunately for her, she disappeared shortly after her little trick. Or I would have thrown her into prison and swallowed the key myself. Imagine hypnotizing an entire town with nothing more than snake oil. Ah, yes. Ben. Of course, one of our many noble miners, Your Grace. A smallish man. I believe he's around here somewhere, isn't he? Enough to know the whole institution has been a blight on productivity. With the blessings of the conduit to replace a sense of a job well done, the miners care hardly at all for getting the mines back in good working order.
They make a feast out of old fuckball, all right. A veritable banquet of lard. Oh, yuck.
I don't mean to make trouble where there ain't any, comrade, but in my years of hunting source, I learned that anyone so eager to climb into your lap after a moment's meeting is hiding something they hope you won't discover. I'm not saying this Lawrence character is involved in sorcery, but it wouldn't exactly surprise me a lick to find out he knows more than he's letting on. Oh, Medora must be going mad, mustn't she? Tie her up and cart her away. Straight to the loony bin. Post-haste, the paranoid old fool. I never once acted outside of my best judgment, comrade. I've made my share of mistakes, from the trifling to the grave, but I promise you this. I'd rather be overly suspicious all day, every day, than let a single piece of evidence slip through my notice.
Cheer him up. Oh, yeah. You know, I bet she was just feeling sorry for that whiny lump of toll-taking fat. Have you yet seen the conduit's way, lost one? She came to the town and cured the rot. We are her most humble devotees.
Source hunter, are you? What brings you to this neck of the woods? The goblins? The orcs? The cult? Or the whole pretty bouquet? Don't be surprised if you hear more than a few unkind words about yours truly around town. An overseer's got to enforce his share of unpopular guild decisions, you know. I'm finished with this one-pony rodeo, though. I did my best by these roughnecks. And now it's time for old Brandon to take a load off. In fact, you may be able to help speed my retirement plan along.
Let me.
I must say I'm also intrigued.
Oh, I knew a source hunter'd perk up at the sound of a challenge. Between you and me, the Troll King's sitting on a piece of treasure of more value than even he knows. A metal called tenebrium that can fetch a prettier sum than its weight in gold. I intend to lift it, sell it, and live out the rest of me days in comfort. The devil's in the details, though, and I haven't managed to find a way to access the King's Cave, much less make off with the stuff without being noticed. But you're a source hunter. You can sniff out any point of mystery. So let's make a deal, You find the tenebrium and bring it to me. And I'll deliver you a few pieces of information about Silverglen, and Lawrence in particular, that are sure to make your mouth water. I wouldn't wish the wrath on me worst enemy, though. So let me give you a little something to contain the tenebrium bars. It's lined with the fragments of a special stone that keeps rats' ill effects at bay.
Gives you the answer to all my...
Apart from Gungir's stature and incurable case of the uglies, he's not so different from a parakeet. Got a brain the size of a pea, and a fervent passion for all things bright and shiny. The nutty oaf sits on a river of silver beneath these mines, but leases it to the mining company for a fraction of its worth in gold. He'd rather put those hefty minions of his on toll duty than mine these hills himself for 5 times the reward. I can't be certain myself where his cave is located, but at least one of those oaf lackeys of his must know where to look. They've got to do something with all the gold they've gathered in the course of guarding those damn bridges, haven't they? I'm no man to refuse a source hunter. Ask away, friend. That circus rolled into town shortly after the tenebrium was discovered. Some freak woman with a freak gemstone managed to cure rot by some strange magic and convinced most of the locals that she were the conduit of the goddess or some such tripe. A strange sort of substance, discovered here around 2 years ago, and folks have been clamouring to get their paws on the rancid stuff ever since. To the right buyer, it's worth more than diamonds. Rot? You're a curious sort of fella, aren't you? Ask around. Half the men here have a brother who died from it. The other half are cured by that cult. Lawrence actually invited those bug-eyed creeps here himself. The miners were dropping like flies, and goblins had more of a natural tolerance for the work. Little did we know they'd overrun the place in a matter of months. I remember him well. Decent man, strong-backed, with something of a funny accent, no? He managed to leave Silverglen alive, but as I recall, the symptoms of wrath were already upon him.
Well, kick my cap and call me Sue. Taking tasks from back dealers, are we? God's almighty.
Your walking is so much like an angry mockingbird's.
Beware of the lost ones out there, Wanderer. Their blood is impure.
Just look at him.
Stop for death, or it will stop for you. Oblige death now, for it obliges you. Tell me, traveler, do you wish to die? Death sends its finest carriage for you, yet you deign to step inside? An insult, yes, but unhappy guests are so unpleasant.
Poor man. It seems he was eaten by a beast.
Well, partially eaten, to be more precise.
Did you see that? A shadow just sprang to life.
Strange magic indeed. Perhaps we're nearing the White Witch's lair.
To think of all the clothes
How
I
brave
left
you were.
behind in Hunter's Edge.
You
All the
there!
jewels-
Your knightship! Oh, please, come to our aid! My wife and I are stranded here. Oh, we're refugees, my liege. 2 of the far too few souls that managed to escape Hunter's Edge when the orcs invaded. We were hoping to reach Silverglen, but we were attacked by highwaymen. Those devils would have scalped and skewered us if it hadn't been for Alfie. Well, the brave creature bit one of them in half, though not before being frightfully wounded himself. Oh, it was naught but a small stop for trading folk along the long road south to Sicil. Well, we got along all right, but now our little home's finally been undone. Orcs invaded, and the source hunter who was meant to protect us didn't save a one of us. Bravest beast of burden in the borough is Alfie, but the poor blighter's bleeding like a stuck pig and can't move no more, which means we can't move no more either. Why, it would be folly to abandon a bandit killer in a wood full of bandits now, wouldn't it, your knightship? Besides, all our worldly wealth is strapped to his back. We'd be destitute without it. And yet, we can hardly stay here forever. Silverglen is close enough to see the chimney fumes from here. Mara absolutely refuses to leave Alfie's side, and like I said, I'm inclined to agree with her. If only a stout champion would, step up and lend us a hand. Oh, we'd be mighty grateful if you would escort us to Silverglen, your knightship, for it is our aim to set up shop there. A new smithy in a new town. Without Alfie, though, without the tools he carries, I'd be like a fisherman without his rod, grasping for salmon with his bare hands. Never could I produce the quality of work for which I'm renowned. Our predicament is clear, and the biggest problem is that Alfie's wounds are so dire, no ordinary healing potion will work. He needs... well, I don't know what he needs, but they say miracle cures are produced by the priests of Silverglen. Oh, we are, my liege, though like I said, it would grieve us dearly to leave Alfie behind.
Indeed. He carries your belongings after all.
Oh, I'm glad you've agreed Alfie needs to be saved before we can depart. Please leave no stone unturned in your search for a concoction that will heal his wounds.
I knew that man, comrade. A fine blacksmith, Bjorn. It gladdens me more than you can imagine to see he and Mara escaped Hunter's Edge. But it's no wonder he blames me for what happened there. Well, it started like any other day, comrade. I told you before, and this much was true. Hunter's Edge was a quiet place. There hadn't been a peep from the Phantom Forest in nearly a century, and save the occasional drunken orc wandering in from the west, there was nothing for any of the townsfolk to fear. I was on patrol one sunny afternoon when I stumbled upon a pair of scrawny orcs building a fire. Bellowed at 'em to get, but they went for their swords instead. Well, I made short work of 'em, but I couldn't find their tribe insignia anywhere. What I did find was a deep red, apple-sized gemstone in one of their pockets. It was warm in my hand and seemed far too fine a treasure to belong to an orc. You and I both know that now, but then my senses were dulled by years of peace. I'd grown soft. I was foolish. I figured it to be an oversized ruby, and it was the worst misjudgment of my life, comrade. Their kind never did take a shine to such finery, so I assumed it had been stolen for its trading value. I pocketed the gem and planned on sending it up to Academy North for the Order to deal with. All was peaceful back at the village, all was quiet. If only I'd known then. If only I had paid attention, had seen the signs. Night had only just begun to fall when they surrounded us. It could only have been a few dozen, but they swarmed like hundreds. Those of us who resisted were immediately cut down. I watched the blood of innocent villagers spill into the streets. I saw their bodies hit the ground. People it was my job to protect, comrade. I made myself promise that night, comrade. Never again would I let another sign of source pass me by unnoticed. Never again would I fail in my sworn duty. It's a promise I intend to keep. Let's discuss it another time, comrade. It ain't easy for an old bear like me to greet these ghosts. For now, maybe we ought to soldier forward. plenty to be done around these parts, eh? Ready to advance? Ready to defend?
Ah, the Source Hunter. It is my greatest pleasure to announce to you that we Immaculates have captured the feared White Witch and quarantined her house of horrors. Yes, the greatest known threat to Rivellon has been neutralized, thanks in no small part to you, Source Hunter. Your activities in Sicil drove the snake to her den, and that's where we Immaculates sprang our trap. I am a proud Immaculate, sworn to use my summoner's expertise in service of the goddess's one way and the greater good. Ah, the High Counselor of Sicil. We mourned his tragic death. Yes, every Immaculate honors the memory of that noble man. Still, Source Hunter, I am sworn on my life to guard this quarantine. I serve a higher authority than yours, and will not waver in my duty. If you're certain, I suppose I can trust the word of one of your esteemed order. Go on then, Source Hunter, but please tell no Immaculate I let you pass, or it will be my life.
I feel uneasy here. I'd better keep my weapon at the ready.
I son of chaos and eternal night, taught by the heavenly muse to venture down the darkest descent and up to reascend. Excuse us, we had something lodged in our windpipe. Oh, somehow we doubt that very much. Have you ever seen the Moth King's silver spoon? Nearly microscopic. No, Source Hunter. We do believe this life hasn't finished surprising you. Not in the least. It's quite a lovely sort of barrier, isn't it? Who doesn't enjoy a gentle, breezy motion against one's backside after all? Then again, we suspect it's been hoisted up by some not-so-savoury characters, and we happen to know just how to remove it. The only trouble is finding the right sort of clever, sort of intrepid sort of person to entrust such a secret to. Here's what we propose. We've a fresh batch of 3 brain teasers hot off our thinking caps. Perhaps, if you can answer them correctly, we might find you spirited enough to entrust with the barrier's deepest, darkest secrets. But it isn't all fun and games. We hardly offer second chances to the beriddled. If you give us a single false answer, we'll clam up like morning glories at midnight. So, do you have what it takes? This is better news than the Orc Queen misplacing her thumbscrew. But enough delays. Let us begin. The ravenous brute tore down my chartreuse gown, ripped out my silken hair by its roots, wrenched my children from me, and fed me to the hogs. Who am I? we weren't to be bested. There's no riddler among us like a fungus. You were a kindly dunce, but we're afraid our gills are sealed nonetheless. Sorry, but that goose has sailed. You clearly aren't the right sort of clever, sort of intrepid sort of person we can entrust such secrets to for free. Then again, 2,500 lovely, shiny somethings might incline us to change our tune.
Let's not be brash. We need whatever information this curious specimen can provide.
All right, we'll do it your way.
Ah, the gentle, tinkly, jingly chime of gold does so please us. So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. One thing we know for certain. This barrier doesn't belong here. The wizard Maradino knew as much when he started poking around here. He developed a spell to remove it, but his fancy was caught elsewhere before he bothered to implement it. Down the spell dropped, and up we scooped it. Unfortunately, we aren't quite human enough to get it to work. But you've proven yourself just the right sort of clever, sort of intrepid sort of person we'd love to entrust such a secret to. Sorry, Source Hunter, but rules are rules. Only the satisfaction of an accurately completed riddle calms me enough to recall such details.
Maradino had some talent mixed in with all that hot air.
He certainly knew how to remove magical barriers, if nothing else.
There's an angel in this mirror! There's an angel in this mirror! Another one for the collection. Another one for the collection.
The world is not immaculate as yet, friend. Be wary, be vigilant.
Do a salutoin, Hunter. What can I do for you? nice and drafty in here. Toodaloo!
I was really hoping to find something better. I was really hoping to find something better.
place seems to have been searched in a hurry.
Searched? I'd say ransacked is more apt. A chest full of hidden valuables, is it? But it could be anywhere.
So we'll look everywhere. Did you expect to find it marked on your map? What's this? I found something.
A beautiful cave, but who knows to what dark purpose the witch might have turned it.
Keep your senses sharp for any sign of source.
Could the Immaculates have slaughtered so many beasts?
I don't doubt it. But the question is, why?
It's a terrible sight, isn't it, Source Hunter? The creatures of the earth laid low so violently.
Did that puddle just address us?
Either that, or our judgments have been addled by mushroom spores.
And raise your sword in the goddess's name.